Broncos. Ellenberg will down it in the end zone. So the Houston offense will go to work on their own 20-yard line. First down. Dan Pastorini is the quarterback. 50.3% this year. 14 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. There's Dan Pastorini. His running backs. Tim Wilson, that is Earl Campbell's main man, and then the man himself.
Well, you better believe that that man is going to get the football this afternoon. The job of Denver, stop number 34, Earl Campbell.
Campbell gets the first call and has 6 yards. 26-yard line. It will be second down and 4. Joe Rizzo, the first man there for the Denver Broncos. The receivers for the Houston Oilers. 00, Ken Burrow. Rich Castor, and the tight end Mike Barber.
Mike Barber may be a big factor in this ball game. His knee was bothered him earlier in the season, but he's healthy today, and he's really an outstanding tight end.
Second down and 4. Tim Wilson, right side. Defense is there. He shakes 2 tacklers. He may pick up the first down. He has to go to the 30-yard line. Reuben Carter finally got him. It is a first down. The offensive line for the Houston Oilers. From left to right, it will be number 74, Leon Gray. At left guard is David Carter. The center is Karl Mock. Ed Fisher on the right side, and Conway Heyman is the right tackle. First and 10, Houston their own 30-yard line, opening drive of the ball game. Earl Campbell. His momentum will carry him to the 35-yard line, a gain of 5. It'll be second and 5. Randy Gradishar, the right inside linebacker for the Denver Broncos, was the man who brought him down. The Broncos basically in a 3-4 with Barney Chavis, Reuben Carter, and Bryson Manor. That defensive line wants to occupy the offense so that their 4 linebackers can roam.
And they are outstanding linebackers. Swenson, Rizzo, Gradishar, and Tom Jackson. Probably the best 4 in the National Football League as a group.
Pastorini fires right side. He misses Burrow. Incomplete. The officials had spotted the ball at the 34-yard line. So it will be third down and 6. Houston's ball at the 34. The secondary for the Denver Broncos. Lewis Wright on the left corner. Steve Foley, back spasms, hurting. He's starting at right side. Bill Thompson is the strong safety, and Bernard Jackson is the free safety. Now, if Foley cannot play the whole ball game, then Bernard Jackson will go outside on the corner, and Charlie West will come in at safety. Ronnie Coleman and Rob Carpenter are now the running backs. Passing situation, Earl Campbell usually comes out in this type of a situation. Over the middle, incomplete. Barber, now the flag comes, and it is late. Barber, the intended receiver, the strong safety, Bill Thompson had the coverage, and we waited for the flag, and it finally arrived.
Charlie, no, the best pass defense is getting to the quarterback, if not getting him before he releases the football. It is putting pressure on him, make him throw the ball before he wants to. That's what happened that time.
Pass interference, number 36, first down.
Number 53, Randy Gradishar. He's blitzing. He's got a free shot at Pastorini, and he's going to take advantage of it. Yes, sometimes it does hurt to throw the football.
It was pass interference on Bill Thompson as you look now to Randy Gradishar. Automatic first down at the Houston 44-yard line. No score, opening drive of the ball game. Play action. Going deep, Barber. He threw over the wrong shoulder. Mike Barber was looking over the left shoulder. Pastorini threw it over the right.
Well, I mentioned just a second ago or a minute ago that Mike Barber is a man that could be a big factor in the ball game. Play action pass. As you can see, Rizzo, number 59, is blitzing, going up top. You see Barber's looking over one shoulder. It was over the other shoulder. He would have had it not been thrown just about a step too far.
So Pastorini opens the ball game. He is 0 for 2. He has missed Ken Burrow. He has missed Mike Barber. It is second down and 10. Houston from their own 44-yard line. The draw, Wilson slips a tackle. Back to the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard. They'll mark at the 45-yard line, a gain of 1. It will be third down and 9. Bob Swinson is the man who stopped it for the Denver Broncos. And this Denver defense is very tough, particularly against the rush.
Yes, they are. And this is an opportunity right now for Denver to shut off Houston. I had mentioned that what Denver wants to do is score first to quiet this crowd down. Because if Houston gets on the board first, I will assure you that this crowd is going to really get loud for the entire afternoon.
Third down 9. Ronnie Coleman and Rob Carpenter come in. Campbell and Wilson come out. Pastorini goes
wide
deep.
open.
Coleman holds on to it. 14-yard line. Converting on a third and 9. Covering 40 yards on the play. And listen to the crowd here in the Dome.
Really, that was an outstanding catch by Coleman, the back that comes in passing situations. Pastorini laid it right where it should be. He really had to stretch to make the catch. And look at that head of his, following that football all the way into his stomach. A big, big play for Houston, now inside the 20-yard line of the Denver Broncos, going in. Excellent opportunity for a score now. If not, a touchdown, at least 3 points.
And in the 16-game regular season, Ronnie Coleman caught only 12 passes.
Well, none was bigger than that one right there.
First down, Denver 14-yard line. Campbell goes to work, left side. Earl fights his way to the 10-yard line. Bob Swinson and Joe Rizzo wrestle him down.
Really shows the strength of Earl Campbell. He was hit near the line of scrimmage, but still he picked up about 4 yards on the play. And it took several Denver Broncos to bring him down. Right now, you're taking a look at Tim Wilson going on, making a block, and there he's hit at the line of scrimmage by Swenson, Bob Swenson. And Bob Swenson is a big man. He's about 230 or 35 pounds.
Earl Campbell, 3 carries, 14 yards. Second down, 6. Denver 10-yard line. 11 minutes. Time remaining. We're in the first quarter. 4 minutes into the ball game. Earl Campbell, right side. Wilson leads the way. Campbell's in trouble. He will lose yardage back to around the 13, maybe the 14-yard line, as Reuben Carter, the nose tackle, teamed up with Bernard Jackson, the free safety.
Well, you can credit number 57, Tom Jackson, for making that play. He didn't make the tackle, but he really disrupted things by getting some penetration in the backfield, made Earl Campbell stop, make a juke, and change his direction. Number 57 will come into your picture, and that's Tom Jackson, the fine linebacker. You see right there, Gradishaw, number 53, also around the ball. Jackson, Carter coming up with the tackle. But when you make a back change his direction, it's an advantage to the defense.
It is third down and 10. Mike Renfro is in. This is the 10th play of the drive. This one is dropped off. It is incomplete. Wilson, the intended receiver, and Gradishar went right with it.
I'll tell you what Denver is doing. Number 20, Lewis Wright, the outstanding cornerback of the Denver Broncos. He is playing man-to-man on 0-0, Kenny Burrell, regardless of whether Kenny lines up on the right side or the left side. This man, number 20, Lewis Wright, is guarding him man-to-man. Probably one of the factors is that Steve Foley does have a back problem.
31-yard attempt by this man, Tony Fred, who hit 84% of his field goal attempts this year. Gifford Nielsen to hold. From 31 yards away, it is good. The Oilers are on the scoreboard. It is Houston 3 and Denver nothing. We have 10:02 time remaining in the first quarter.
Christmas to all of you from all of us at Schlitz.
This is Charlie Jones, Lynn Dawson, and now Denver, they have to get something moving
Well,
very
I
quickly.
should say so. Otherwise, this crowd is really going to become a factor in this football game, and it's going to be all for the Houston Oilers and against the Denver Broncos, much like what would have happened had they been playing in Denver, Colorado, with great fans that they have up there.
Dave Preston at the 5-yard line. Preston on the return, hits to the far side, falls forward to about the 20-yard line. Guido Merkins is the man who made the tackle. So it is a 1st and 10 for the Broncos on their own 20-yard line, with Greg Morton the quarterback, and Morton has a pulled stomach muscle. Otis Armstrong will be one of his running backs, and the other one will be John Keyworth, as Rob Lytle is out, knee surgery a couple of weeks ago. One of the things that Denver must do is to keep their offense on the field so they can keep Earl Campbell off of the field. Otis Armstrong gets the first call. He picks up 4 yards to the 24-yard line. It will be 2nd down and 6 as Vernon Perry makes the tackle. The receivers for the Denver Broncos: Rick Upchurch, who you saw briefly, and there he comes again. And he has an ankle, a heel, and an Achilles.
Yes, and I think that they may not be going to him that frequently. They're in with double tight right now, and Upchurch is not in the ball game. Riley Odoms is in, Egloff is in, Moses is in.
Otis Armstrong near the 1st down. Robert Brazil made the tackle. And we'll look at the offensive line of the Denver Broncos. And these are the 5 men that must today give Craig Morton the protection. Dave Studdard, Tom Glassick, Bill Bryan, Paul Howard, and Claudio Minor.
And what a year Claudio Minor is having. He's just simply playing outstanding football for the Denver Broncos.
3rd down and about half a yard to go. Dave Preston comes in. He and John Keyworth are the 2 running backs. Preston, 1st down. Dave Preston picks up a yard to the 31-yard line, and the Broncos have their first down. Art Stringer is the man who stopped him. The Oilers basically will be in a 3-4, and that front 3 will show Andy Doris at left end. Those are the linebackers. We'll give those right now. Ted Washington, Art Stringer, Greg Bingham, and Robert Brazil. And they always talk about the 4 linebackers of the Denver Broncos. As a group, these 4, same category.
They are outstanding also. These are both very physical football teams. You're going to see a lot of hard hitting out there this afternoon.
Armstrong tries the left side. He will pick up a yard, a gain of 1 to the 32. It'll be 2nd down 9. Andy Doris and Ted Washington making the tackle. Now that front 3. There's Andy Doris. And your former teammate in the middle is Curly Culp.
Yes, and he is a key to that defensive line. He gets a lot of penetration. This is an all-pro, Elvin Bethea, number 65.
And there's the secondary: J.C. Wilson, Greg Stimmick, Vernon Perry, and Mike Reinfeld. Armstrong has been the early workhorse of this ball game. It is 2nd and 9. Morton to throw. Has protection. Drills it. Flag is down. He was going to Rick Upchurch. It will be pass interference against Greg Stimmick of the Houston Oilers. That carries with it an automatic 1st down at the spot of the foul.
Well, right now both defenses helped the offense because they had a pass interference penalty against Denver. Now there's one called against the Houston Oilers. You can see coming up, making contact before the ball gets to him. You cannot do that.
That penalty covering 14 yards. Just outside the 45-yard line. 1st down. Houston leading in the ballgame, 3-0. Armstrong. Otis goes to the 49-yard line. He picks up 3 on the play. It will be 2nd down and 7, and Robert Brazil makes the tackle, and his parents are in the stands today celebrating their wedding anniversary.
Number 78 is Curly Culp. He takes a side, and I said you have to control Curly Culp in order to move the ball running with the football. That time they did the job, but they're not going to be able to do it all of the time.
2nd down 7, a passing situation. Riley Odoms is the wing back on the right side. Play action. Morton throws. Out of the backfield is Armstrong, and Otis has the first down. And so the Broncos. Flag is down.
Yes,
the play was about 4 yards outside of the field of play, and a pushing and shoving contest is going on.
Vernon Perry, the strong safety, number 32, had a late hit on Otis Armstrong over that white line. The official was standing right there, threw the flag.
Now the officials will hold the conference. They will make the decision, and right now the decision is twofold. Was the play over, which is we know that it was over. That would mean the penalty would go to the end of the play.
Might be also. They're making a
Ejection.
determination whether they're going to let him remaining in the football game.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, 32. Unsportsmanlike conduct, 79 White. Offsetting fouls, first down here at the spot.
They were offsetting penalties after the play was over. Now there's the first penalty. That's on Vernon Perry.
That was a late hit. Should never have happened. Should never hit him. He was out of bounds. That happened to this man a couple of times, and I know that the Houston Oilers were very irate about that man, Earl Campbell, being hit late and out of bounds.
Denver has the ball. First down, Houston 38-yard line. Morton shows a little play action, wants to go deep. Underneath the coverage, pass is complete. Ron Egloff, the number 2 tight end for the Broncos. Vernon Perry makes the tackle. Now Egloff, during the regular season, caught only 5 passes.
But he caught a very big one there. Riley Odoms is in the ball game. They're operating with a double tight situation. And here is Morton. Now he's got a stomach muscle pull, and you can find out if he's tough or not. He just takes a terrific shot after he releases the ball to number 85, Egloff. Good position now for the Denver Broncos. They are now tapping at the door of the Houston Oilers.
That play covering 16 yards to the 22-yard line. Second back through is Armstrong. He has a gain of 5 to the 17. It'll be second down 5. Robert Brazil was the first man there for the Houston Oilers.
What Houston has to do, they've got to get some penetration by that defense. You take a look at Curly Culp, number 78. He's being blocked by the center, and that is Bill Bryan, number 64. But there is movement, as you can see, by Denver against the Houston defense. When that happens, you're going to pick up yards. That time they picked up 4 yards on the play.
Jim Jensen is in the offensive set along with Otis Armstrong. Second down 5. Armstrong right side. 14-yard line. Maybe the 13-yard line. Vernon Perry and J.C. Wilson were there for the defense. Now in the opening drive for the Houston Oilers, leading to their field goal, they took some 5 minutes. In this drive, the Denver Broncos have taken some 5 minutes of possession of the football.
And you were talking about one big reason that this man wants to keep that offense on the field is because Earl Campbell, number 34 at Houston, will not be playing.
Bum Phillips, head coach of the Houston Oilers, and Red Miller, head coach of the Denver Broncos. This is the 10th play of this drive. Third down and a couple. Morton to throw on third down. Pass is complete. Preston has it. He stepped out of bounds. Dave Preston out of the backfield, stepped out of bounds. It will be first down and goal to go.
Morton was looking downfield, looking for his wide receivers and his tight end. They were covered by Houston's defense. He had to get rid of the ball because of pressure. You see Curly Culp being blocked by 2 men. Gets it off into the flat to his back. Now, he got the first down. That was what Morton was looking for. Make sure you got at least the 3 yards for the first down to continue that drive. There's the man that did the receiving, Dave Preston.
Greg Morton has completed 3 of 3 for 40 yards. First down, goal to go, 3-yard line. Flags are down. There was movement by the offense. And that will cost the Denver Broncos. The play didn't go anywhere, but everybody was a little edgy, illegal motion.
I believe it was number 32, fullback John Keyworth, who had movement before the snap of the ball.
4 minutes and 17 seconds. That is the time remaining in the first quarter. Here's the penalty.
Illegal motion, 32 offense, still first down.
Still first down and goal to go, but now from the 8-yard line.
Yeah, well, that's not a very good position, really, to jump off sides when you have 3 yards to go and you have at least 3 downs to get in if you want to run the ball. Now they may place them, if they don't stop now, place them in a passing situation.
Upchurch is wide to the far side. Moses wide near side. They stay on the ground. It is Dave Preston. Preston picks up 2 yards. No, they give him only 1 to the 7. It'll be second down and goal to go. Robert Brazil makes the tackle.
I know he was quite proud, saying that his parents are here at the ball game today, and they are celebrating their wedding anniversary. They must be very, very proud of Robert Brazil, because he is not only an outstanding football player, he's an outstanding young man.
3 minutes, 50 seconds. That is the time remaining. There is Jim Turner, the field goal kicker for the Broncos. They are within his range, but as you know, Turner has a groin pull, a muscle pull in the upper part of his kicking leg. This one swing pass in the flat is no good, going to Preston.
They had a safety blitz on that time. Safety man for the Houston Oilers, that's Mike Reinfeld, came blitzing through. He was not touched, not blocked. He had a clear shot at Morton. Morton had to get rid of that ball to avoid a loss. And also, I know what's going to happen today. Houston's going to put pressure on Morton, because Morton is hurt. Everybody knows that he is. See Curly Culp taking his man, or actually 2 men, straight up the middle. The one place a quarterback does not want pressure is up the middle, because you cannot step up. If it's from the outside, you can step up in the pocket, but if it's up the middle, you get rid of the football and take the lick.
Third down, goal to go, 7 yards away. Upchurch wide to the far side. Haven Moses to the right side. Looking to Upchurch. Out of the backfield. It is caught by Preston. He dives and is in the end zone. Dave Preston. And the Broncos are out in front, moving 80 yards on that touchdown drive.
Well, if there's any question about Morton being able to throw the ball, because he hadn't thrown the ball all week in practice because of his injury, he's proven it on this drive. Hitting number 46 is Preston. Now watch the extra effort. He must get into the end zone. He can't be short, or else they're going to have to kick a field goal. Number 54 is Bingham, the linebacker, the Houston Oilers. Sees that who the quarterback is going to, but it was a good move by Preston, avoiding that tackle by Bingham, in for the touchdown.
And Jim Turner splits the uprights. We've got a timeout. The Denver Broncos have the lead. It is 7-3 with 3:27 time remaining, first quarter. Number 36 and Richard Ellender, number 85. They are the 2 deep backs on the return for the Oilers. The Oilers, if they've had one weakness this year, when they lost Billy White Shoes Johnson, they have not had good kickoff returns or good punt returns. Hartwig to the 15, 20, 25, 30, to the 33-yard line. Bernard Jackson is the man who upended him.
Well, I'd say it was a good decision to take the 5-yard penalty, because they did improve their field position. A lot of times, Charlie, all year long, we have seen the number of penalties on the kicking game. I'm sure that the coaches take that into consideration, because you know down there that the players are really fired up. They're at at their emotional peak.
First down and 10 for Houston from their own 33-yard line. Earl Campbell and Tim Wilson are the running backs. Earl Campbell to the 36-yard line. A gain of 3 yards on the play. It'll be second down and 7. Tom Jackson, one of the 4 Denver linebackers, and they're all very active, is the man who made the tackle.
No, they're not only active, they are really extremely fast and quick.
And mean.
Well, when you meet them off the field, they're not mean, Charlie. They're very pleasant individuals, but they're not off the field right now. You throw all the friendships out the window. You may shake hands before the game and after, but not now.
Second down and 7. Play action. Pastorini to throw. Wants to go deep. Throws into coverage, knocked away. Rich Castor, the intended receiver, and Lewis Wright, the fastest man on the Bronco team, is the man who downed it, and Pastorini has completed only 1 of 5 passes.
Well, they're trying to shut off the running game, particularly on first down. So he's going to have to get hot. He's going to have to put the ball in the air and complete it. Leon Gray, number 74, the acquisition that Houston acquired from the New England Patriots, really has been a big present for the Houston Oilers. He's had a tremendous season.
And and your eyes did not deceive you, Santa Claus is Columbia blue hair for this ball game. Third down, 7. Dumps right side to Rob Carpenter. Carpenter has the first down. It was third down and 7.
Well, I'll tell you, he made up his mind that he was going to get that first down. You see him cut back to the inside. He knew exactly how far he had to go, and he did it. Number 26, Carpenter. Pastorini does not want to go to him. He's just an outlet. He's looking downfield, but he has pressure. He knows he's got to get rid of it. Now look at him pour it on right now. He knows what he has to do, run that straight line and get the first down, and he did, keeping this drive alive.
He needed 7 yards. He got 10 to the 46-yard line. Oilers in their own territory, first down. Earl Campbell. 49-yard line of Denver. A pickup of 5 yards. It will be second down and 5 as Bernard Jackson and the ailing Tim Foley with the back spasms there for the defense along with Joe Rizzo.
These plays don't look very spectacular, but this is what it's all about. You're just driving your man back. Number 66 is Bryson Mann are going down on a good block. They're going to the left side. That means that number 74, Leon Gray. We were just talking about, just explaining why he's such a valuable asset to the Houston Oilers. That's one of the reasons. A tremendous blocker, not only on runs, but also pass protection.
Earl Campbell has been averaging on the year 4.6 yards a carry. Here he gets only 1. So the Denver defense now has held Campbell in 7 carries to 19 yards. Bryson Manor and Tom Jackson on the last stop.
That's why it's so important for Pastorini to get hot, to be able to throw the football, to take some of the pressure off the running game. They're going to be ganging up on Earl Campbell, which they are going to do. He's going to have to be able to throw.
It is third down and 3, a short yardage situation. And Earl Campbell has been devastating 67% of the time this year in this kind of a situation. He has picked up a first down.
He might get the ball again then, Charlie.
And he does. He is bumped at the 44-yard line, which is just at the first down marker, and then was bumped back. His momentum did not carry him forward.
I'll tell you, Lewis Wright really did a fine job of meeting Earl Campbell. This is a heavy load to try to knock back. He's coming right there. Number 20 is Lewis Wright. That's one of the reasons why he is such an outstanding defensive back.
It will not be a first down. That is the end of the first quarter. Denver 7, Houston 3. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Carl Malden is Skag, a man trying to keep a family together.
I'll find some way to help her. I don't know how, but I will.
A troubled daughter.
I've been so alone.
A rebellious son.
We should have walked out of there today.
And a concerned wife.
Report.
It is fourth down and 1, just inside the Denver 45-yard line. The Oilers go for it.
Well, now is not the time to hold back. This is it. It's sudden death.
The crowd comes to their feet. Earl Campbell
Fumbles.
scramble for the ball. The Denver players signaled that they had it. And then there was a second scramble, and the Broncos have taken over as Denver has held. We are 7 seconds into the second quarter, and we've got a timeout. The score is Denver 7 and Houston 3. We'll be back in a moment. The graphic shows that this year, the second quarter has belonged to Houston. Points for, points against. Denver has had some problems in the second quarter. The Oilers, their problems have all been on the good side of the ledger.
Well, I'll tell you, you might mark that last play down where they stopped Houston and stopped Earl Campbell. That means that defense of Denver knows that it can be done.
From the Denver 45-yard line, Otis Armstrong comes crawling over a hole opened up by Dave Studdard, Tom Glassick, and Bill Bryan. Next weekend, NBC will be hosting the AFC's divisional playoffs. Saturday, San Diego will take on Houston or Miami, and Sunday, the Steelers will entertain either Miami or Denver. That all, of course, depends on the outcome of today's game. That's the AFC's divisional playoffs next weekend on NBC. That last play covering 5 yards to the 50. It is 2nd and 5, and Jim Jensen gets the call. Jensen will pick up 3 yards on the play to the 47-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 2, and Ted Washington, the strong side linebacker for the Houston Oilers, is the man who brought him down, number 59.
What's happening so far for Denver? They've done really a fine job running with the football on 1st down, giving them an opportunity the next 2 downs to either run the ball or pass it.
And to give you a comparison, Otis Armstrong has 25 yards rushing in the game. Earl Campbell has 22 for Houston. 3rd down and 2. Denver leads 7-3. 13 and a half minutes left to go. First half. Diving over the top is Jensen. He may not have made it. He was met by Greg Bingham and Andy Doris.
The entire inside defensive alignment for the Houston Oilers that time got some penetration. That was one of the reasons why that is going to be very close to whether it's a 1st down or not.
The ball is just inside the 46-yard line of Houston.
See that Robert Brazil is there. He's going to give him a lot of assistance.
You can tell by his reaction that it is a 1st down.
Here it is. Number 78, Curly Culp, getting some penetration. Gets a piece of the ball carrier, but he did get up and over far enough, just barely, as you witnessed, to make the 1st down.
Bum Phillips, the head coach of the Oilers. There was a lot of feeling that perhaps the Broncos would be down, that their practices, the report was, did not go that well after losing to San Diego last Monday night. Larry Canada is now the running back. Canada to the 42-yard line. He picks up 4 yards. It'll be 2nd down 6. Andy Doris makes the tackle. But the Denver Broncos very loose on their trip yesterday. They flew in. They were 2 hours late arriving. The equipment was late coming into Denver. They were an hour late leaving Denver, and they could not put on a full load of fuel because of the weight factor and the slush on the runways. So they had to land in Amarillo. They were 2 hours late getting here last night, but they were very loose on the flight. And Lynn, as you know, when you're very loose, sometimes you play your best football. 2nd down and 6. Dave Preston. Maybe a half a yard before Vernon Perry and Elvin Bethea make the tackle.
Charlie, of what you were talking about, Denver has a lot of injuries. They could very easily use that as an excuse, but they have been to the playoffs before. They have tasted that success, and they know what it takes. They know that they have to play with some hurts and some aches and pains. They've been doing that all year. Houston has too. When you've played as many games as they have, you're going to be hurting. But this is for all the marbles. This is what you train and you work for.
And of Craig Morton's 4 completions in the ball game, 3 have been to the backs, 1 to the tight end. He slips, he will be sacked. They will stop the play at the 47-yard line. Andy Doris will get credit for the sack. That is the first one of the ball game.
Well, that was a big defensive play for the Houston Oilers, because now they're going to have to come in and punt the football. Had they picked up another 1st down, they'd have been getting close to field goal range.
And Morton just tripped over his own foot as he was going back. So Luke Prestridge with a 39.9-yard average, the first punt of the ball game. Richard Ellender is the deep back on the return. He goes for the corner. Ellender, a collision at the 5-yard line, and flags go down. This will be technically fair catch interference. He did not signal for a fair catch. It is called that in the rule book. He has a right to catch the ball. You cannot take that right away from him.
And he also made a mistake of even trying to catch it. There's a rule that inside the 10-yard line you let it go, but he's at the 5-yard line or near the 5-yard line. It is interference by the kicking team on the receiving team, so they're going to be penalized for it. But Ellender...
Oh, no, says Luke Prestridge. We'll take a timeout. 11:21 left to go in the first half. Let's check with the referee before we go away.
Interference with the opportunity to make a fair catch, 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
The score is Denver 7 and Houston 3.
There you see Morton warming up on the sidelines. The reason he's doing that, every time he throws the football, it hurts. So he wants to just get used to the pain. He knows he's going to be hurting all afternoon long.
He is playing with pulled stomach muscles. Play action by Pastorini. Pump fake, he goes deep to Burrow. With Lewis Wright, incomplete, 35-yard line. What a matchup between Ken Burrow, Pastorini's favorite receiver for the last 9 years, and Lewis Wright, the premier defender for the Denver Broncos.
And you can see right now Kenny Burrow is holding his back because he has had a tailbone problem. He's had it injured before, and he landed on there. On this throw, Pastorini gets hit as he releases. That takes a little bit off that football, although he does have a strong arm. Now, this is jump ball right now. And Lewis Wright, an outstanding quarterback. Now, you can see right there, Kenny Burrow is landing on his injury.
Right on the tailbone. He injured it in the Dallas game. We have the offensive left side of the Oiler line jumping the gun. That will cost him a quick 5 yards. The line of scrimmage is the 22-yard line. Houston in their own territory. 11-13 is the time remaining.
Offensive left tackle.
It is a false start on Leon Gray.
Pastorini went up top on that first down because they hadn't been gaining much on first down, running with the football, hoping maybe that they could come up with the big play. But I think if I were going to attack somebody, it may not be Lewis Wright.
Second down and 15. The line of scrimmage now the Houston 17-yard line.
Now what Houston has to be concerned about and Pastorini has to be concerned about is if he throws the football, he doesn't want to take a chance of turning it over down on this end of the field.
Changes in the defensive line for the Broncos. John Grant, Don Latimer, and Bryson Manor, now the front three. Pump fake. He wants to go deep again. He drops it off to Mike Barber, and he drops the ball. It is incomplete.
That time he was letting Barber just come underneath the linebackers and trying to hit him in front of them. Ball was thrown slightly behind him. And I'm sure Mike Barber would feel very strongly that he should have caught the football.
Today's telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Houston Oilers and the National Football League is prohibited. Pastorini has completed 2 of 8 passes, 51 yards through the air. Third down 15, he will have to throw here. He rolls, he goes deep to Barber down the sideline. Barber has it, a collision, he caught it inbound. It will be a first down near the 48-yard line. Mike Barber knew that he would be decked as soon as he caught it. Lewis Wright was there for the defense.
Well, he dropped one the time, just the play before, but here's great concentration. He knew because this ball is floating down there. He's just throwing it so that if Barber doesn't catch it, it's by the sidelines, and it's going to go out of bounds. You can see right there, he takes a real shot as he catches the football. The referee is right there. He says he caught it inbounds. It's a first down for Houston near the 50-yard line.
A gain of 31 yards on the play to the Houston 48-yard line. Denver leads 7-3. Earl Campbell left side. And Campbell plows for about 4 yards on the play to the Denver 48-yard line. It'll be second down and 6. Bryson Manor, the defensive right end from the University of Arkansas, is the man who brought him down.
Just trying to get this man outside. Let him find his own hole. Let us find the opening and let him go and let the defense make the tackle. He ran straight over Foley. Now, I mentioned about number 86, Mike Barber, catching the ball. That's only part of your job as a tight end. You have to block. And he does really an outstanding job on number 51, Bob Swinson. And Swinson is an outstanding linebacker. Of course, he had his hands on him a little bit. That helped.
Second down and 6 at the Denver 48-yard line. Tim Wilson. Wilson close to the first down. He may come up a half a yard or a yard short. Free safety Bernard Jackson stopped his progress. They'll mark it the 43-yard line. It will be third down and a yard.
Well, you got to figure they've got 2 downs to make it, because the last time they were in this situation or near this part of the field, they went for it on 4th down. They didn't make it. That last play was really interesting, and it shows you the type of a team man that Earl Campbell is, because he made an outstanding block on Tom Jackson, the linebacker, enabling Wilson to get the yardage that he did.
Third down and 1. Campbell Pastorini fumbled the snap, was delayed momentarily on the pitch to Campbell. Randy Gratishar makes the tackle. They may not have picked it up.
The last time they were in this situation, when they went for it on 4th down, they went up the middle. This time they're trying to go outside, but that Denver defense is doing the job, and you see him hand right there, number 53, Randy Gratishar, that patrols that area from side to side and does such a tremendous job making the tackle, preventing the first down, and putting them in a punting situation.
Here is Cliff Parsley's first kick of the ball game. Going for the corner, and it is out of bounds. They mark it out at the 11-yard line. So Denver will be moving on offense from their own 11-yard line. That punt covering some 33 yards. 8:43. That is the time remaining in the first quarter. It is Denver 7, Houston 3. Red Miller, the head coach of the Denver Broncos, in his 3rd year, and all 3 years he has taken the Broncos into the playoffs. Otis Armstrong, the ball carrier from the 11-yard line out to the 13, a gain of 2 yards on the play. It will be 2nd down and 8. Mike Stinsrud now in for Andy Doris, along with Greg Bingham. They team up on the tackle. Tonight it's a holiday special starring your favorite Disney characters on Disney's Wonderful World. Then Fred Astaire stars in 7 magical roles. In The Man in the Santa Claus Suit, Gary Berghoff, Bert Convy, and John Biner also star. Followed by a spotlight on the wild and woolly world of professional wrestling on primetime Sunday. Tom Snyder tonight on NBC. To the 16-yard line, the ball carrier is Jim Jensen, brought down by Vernon Perry. So add 3 more yards to the total of the Denver Broncos. They will be facing a 3rd down and 5 situation, and Craig Morton will be throwing.
Well, we have Rick Upchurch coming into the football game,
along with Larry Canada,
which indicates that they're going to try to spread out that defense. Upchurch, they have yet to throw the football to him. He is hurt. The leg or the ankle, the foot is hurting. Could be in there because of his extreme speed and how much they respect him for Houston. He may be in there as a decoy.
Craig Morton has completed 4 of 5 for 48 yards. Haven Moses in motion. Quick screen right side to Moses. He does not have the running room. He will come up 2 yards short of the first down. Greg Bingham, one of the 2 inside linebackers on the 3-4 Houston defense, was there. Moses' first reception, and he picks up 4 yards on the play.
And the ball was thrown behind him and low, which meant that he had to wait to catch the football, go down to get it. That means that the defense has an opportunity to pursue and to move over there.
Richard Ellender is deep. Prestridge to kick. And he hangs a beauty. Ellender, 37-yard line, to the 40, 45, 50, back to Denver territory. See where they mark it down. His momentum carried him almost to the 45-yard line. Officials will spot it at about the 46-yard line. We've got a timeout, 6:36 left to go. In a defensive first half, Denver leads by 4. Houston's ball, first down on the Denver 46-yard line. 6:36, time remaining, first half in the Astrodome. Denver 7, Houston 3. Pastorini, play action. It's a screen right side to Tim Wilson. Wilson to the 40, 35, Wilson to the 30, Wilson to the 27, maybe the 26-yard line. A gain of 20 yards on the play. John Grant finally caught him for the Denver Broncos, along with Lewis Wright.
Number 60, Fisher, the guard, really provided a key block on this screen to Wilson. The penetration is coming. He makes the catch right there. The block that sprung him loose turned him to the inside. An excellent running by Tim Wilson gets him the additional yardage. And what happens to the quarterback after he gets rid of it? He is greeted by one of his friends on the other side of the line of scrimmage.
First down, Denver 26-yard line. 5:45 time remaining.
Play
first
pass.
half.
Good throw.
Comeback pattern is incomplete, far side. Mike Renfro, the intended receiver, and Steve Foley is the man who broke it up. Spend New Year's Day with us. We can decide the national championship for you. The Rose Bowl, Ohio State and USC, they are ranked number 1 and number 3.
That should be a great game, Ohio State. And then that evening, New Year's Day, the Orange Bowl, Oklahoma and Florida State, they are ranked 4 and 5.
So a great day on football on New Year's Day on NBC. Second down and 10, Denver 26-yard line. Oilers trailing by 4. Pastorini takes a lot of time. The snap comes with 1 second on the 30-second clock. Earl Campbell slips 2-3 tackles. Should have been dropped for a loss. He ends up gaining close to 5 yards on the play. Joe Rizzo finally brought him down.
You're going to contain this man for a while, but you're not going to do it all day. Number 57, Tom Jackson, makes an excellent play right there because he disrupts everything now. He almost takes him down, but the great balance of Earl Campbell keeps him upright. Now he's fighting and struggling, comes up with a couple of yards where the ordinary back wouldn't have gotten any.
Earl Campbell, who once again set all kinds of records. 11 100-yard games this past season. Third down 5. Again, Pastorini uses almost all of the 30-second clock. This is intercepted by Bill Thompson. The Broncos have the ball at their own 18-yard line as Bill Thompson picks off the errant pass of Dan Pastorini.
He had split his tight end, Mike Barber, out wide, was trying to throw a slant pass, and Thompson played exceptionally well, played that play exceptionally well. He looked like he was looking for the slant pass.
4:42, that is the time remaining in the first half. Denver leads by 4.
Charlie, this has happened to me. You make up your mind what you're going to do before you look at anything. He was going to throw that ball in the slant end to number 86, Barber, all the way. And here you take a look at the isolation of Barber, and he really doesn't have a chance because the play was really played very well by number 36, Bill Thompson. But he's been doing that all year. In fact, he's been doing that for a lot of years. He did it for me many years ago.
Denver has a first down on their own 18-yard line. Morton play action. He goes deep into coverage. It ricochets off of the uniform of Rick Upchurch. It is incomplete.
Very well covered. Number 54, Greg Bingham, was back in that area trailing Upchurch. But here again, Morton's trying to get something right away, get something moving downfield, get out of that terrible field position. It looked like Robert Brazil got a finger on the ball, and here take a look at Upchurch. This is the first time that he's gone to Upchurch, and he draws a crowd. Look at, did you see Bingham right there? He's looking to find number 80, Upchurch, because he knows that he's a man that's going to get the football thrown to him.
Second down and 10. 4 on the pattern. Standing in, out of the backfield is Jensen. Jensen to the 28-yard line. This will be close to the first down. He may have it. Bingham makes the tackle as we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
KTAL-TV, Channel 6, Texarkana Shreveport.
This is Charlie Jones, Lynn Dawson. We have an official's timeout. A Denver player hurt on the last play.
It's the tackle. Dave Studdard is down.
So we'll take a timeout. 4:23 left to go. First half. Denver leads 7-3.
Winners don't have time to wait, so they rent from Hertz. Nobody can get you into your Fairmont, LTD, or other fine car faster than number 1. With the Hertz number 1 club, you just show your credit card, your license, sign, and go. No wonder the presidents of over 80% of America's top 500 companies carry Hertz cards.
Hiya, Juice.
Hey, Jimmy Connors. Hertz, where the winners rent.
Monday night was Nancy and lobster. Tuesday night, Marie and veal parmesan. Wednesday night, Monique and beef bourguignon.
For those occasions when you're not sure what you're having for dinner, bring along the wine that's correct with any dish. Blue Nun, the delicious imported white wine that goes as well with meat as it does with fish.
Friday night, oh yeah, Friday night.
progress to the 26-yard line where Houston will go to work. 2:33. That is the time remaining in the second quarter. That kick covered 50 yards with an 11-yard return. See exciting same-day coverage as Kelly Tripucka leads the 4th-ranked Fighting Irish of Notre Dame against All-America guard Kyle Macy and the number 3 Wildcats of Kentucky. That's next Saturday, 11:30 p.m. on the college basketball game of the week on NBC.
Kelly Tripucka, that's Frank's son, isn't it?
Right. You played with his father against him.
In fact, Frank played for this team out here called the Denver Broncos.
He certainly did. He was their first quarterback. Houston now from their own 26-yard line. First down, Earl Campbell gets the call. Campbell has 4 yards to the 30. It will be second down and 6. Earl Campbell now 13 carries and 35 yards. His total offense in the first half. Last week in the first half against the Eagles, 134 yards.
Denver is very good against the run. Houston believes that they're going to have to run to be successful and win. It's kind of a standoff right now because Houston is not really moving the ball that well on the ground.
Second down set. Pastorini to throw. Goes left side.
Well, I'll tell you, Mike Barber was so wide open down there in the middle of the field that he's shaking his head. He had his hands raised way high, and here again it looked like Pastorini maybe was making up his mind without reading the defense of who he's going to throw to.
Guido Merkins, the intended receiver, will take a timeout. 2-minute warning to both benches. Denver 7, Houston 3. Lynn Dawson, this is the Astrodome. And it is very quiet now as Greg Morton has certainly led the Denver offense. They lead 7-3.
Yes, sir. A big question mark whether he'd even be able to come out and throw the football today.
Denver now shows a 4-man front and 3 linebackers. Third down and 6. Pastorini's throw, far side, is complete to Rob Carpenter. He has the first down. A flag is down on the play.
And they'll get 15 more yards for collaring or hitting him around the head, which is an area you can't be tackling a running back or a man with a ball.
Personal foul. Tom Jackson was the defender. We'll take a look.
Here he is. He needs the first down to continue this drive. This is a fine throw by Pastorini. He gets it out, and right there, you can't do that.
That is illegal, Tom.
And the reason being is because you see what happens right there, because you can hurt a man.
They tag the penalty to the end of the play. Here's the call.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, 57 defense, first down.
It is a first down at the Denver 42-yard line now with 1 minute and 50 seconds. That is the time remaining in the first half.
You don't want to do that at this stage of the game because you got a 4-point lead going into halftime with the other team with the football. Now you're putting them in good field position right now and a first down. It also stops the clock. And it might fire up the opposition too.
Earl Campbell and Tim Wilson are in the backfield. Campbell is the remaining back. Renfro in motion. Pastorini drops it off to Earl Campbell. Campbell still on his feet. Campbell drives close to the 35-yard line. Earl Campbell will pick up 5 or 6, and Pastorini is down at the 46-yard line.
Oh, he is hurting. He really took a shot after he got rid of that ball to Earl Campbell. But knowing how tough that man is, it may deter him for a short while, but he is going to play. Last year, as you recall, when he played in the playoffs, didn't think he could even suit up. It took about 45 minutes to piece him all together to get him out on the field, and he had excellent games against both Miami and New England.
That last play covered 7 yards to the 35-yard line. It will be second down and 3, and they love you blue in Houston.
Take right here. He's going to take a shot. You see just right there, he knows he's going to get hit. Makes the throw to Earl Campbell. Takes his lick or his hit. Gets a little sympathy from the sidelines, and they tell him get back out there and do it again.
It will be second down and 3 as Pastorini stays in the ball game. 1 minute, 39 seconds, time remaining, second quarter, and Ken Burra is back in the lineup, 0-0. Rich Castor is also there. Mike Renfro is there. 3 wide receivers on a 2nd and 3 upcoming. Pastorini has completed 40% of his passes, below his season average. 6 of 15 for 122 yards.
Earl Campbell coming out of the ball game. They've got Wilson in the ball game, and Wilson is an excellent blocker, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Pastorini keep him back there as his personal bodyguard to block back there while he tries to get the ball downfield.
Burrow in motion.
A reverse pass.
Fake of a reverse. Going deep to Wilson. He is in the open. Tim Wilson, 17-yard line.
It looked like he may have to fair catch that football the way he was hanging it up there, but big play for Houston.
Listen to the crowd as we go to commercial. The preceding announcement was furnished as a public service by the National Football League.
Here it is, faking the reverse. Pastorini coming up. You see there's nobody there. You have people scattered all over defensively, and a good catch by number 45, Tim Wilson.
They mark it to the 16-yard line. 19 yards on the play, first down. Earl Campbell. And the crowd goes bananas. Seven-yard line, a gain of 9. 2nd and 1. 1 minute and 5 seconds time remaining, first half.
Plenty of time.
Earl Campbell. 3-yard line. First down, goal to go. Bob Swinson saved the touchdown.
Well, I'll tell you, Bob Swinson played that very, very well, but the great running back that Earl Campbell is still picked up the first down. Swinson was moving along that line of scrimmage, making sure they didn't get outside of him. Campbell cut back at the last instant, picked up the first down.
At the top of the show, we talked about home field advantage, home crowd advantage. It shows in this drive.
Well, the people who've had to play, teams that have had to play the Denver Broncos in Denver know this. But Denver, I would think it would be a touchdown difference, and that was why it was so important for them last week to defeat San Diego. Why it was a tough loss, because then they would have played a game up in Denver, Colorado. When a team goes up there, you're not only fighting the altitude, which is different, but the crowd. And the crowd is very, very enthusiastic at Denver, Colorado, as you well know. And you can see right now, it doesn't take much to get these people excited at the Astrodome. And that's why really it was important for the Denver Broncos to get on the board early in the football game, because it quieted this crowd down. Now they're really active now, but you may recall a little while ago there wasn't much noise coming from the Astrodome.
That's right. And stay with us at halftime for NFL 79. Let's listen to the music. And then the music stopped. Okay, here we go. 8th play of the drive upcoming. First down goal to go 3-yard line. A full house backfield. The old T formation. Play action. Incomplete. Carpenter, the intended receiver, Steve Foley, picked him out. It will be 2nd down goal to go. 3-yard line, 49 seconds left to go in the first half.
Kenny Burrow coming in the ball game. Undoubtedly with the play, because he did go to Dan Pastorini.
The scoreboard, the message board here, which is usually correct with all the official statistics, shows that the Oilers do not have a timeout remaining. We're double checking that. Oh, Campbell.
He's in the end zone. Doesn't make any difference that he fumbled afterwards. Although you're taking a look at Bob Swinson, he's saying that he maybe fumbled the football before he got into the end zone. Once you cross that goal line with the football, doesn't make any difference after that what happens to the ball. You take a look right there at the number 34, Earl Campbell, is down in the end zone.
Houston has the lead in this very physical defensive first half.
Taking a look right now, giving the ball to their main man, number 34, Earl Campbell. Look how low to the ground he is. And he's into the end zone, and what Denver is saying, he fumbled before he got into the end zone. Here you are, number 34, Earl Campbell. Low to the ground, power runner. Looked to me like he was in the end zone, Charlie, that he fumbled the ball after he crossed the line. Looked like a good call by the officials.
And like you said, all you have to do is have possession of the football. When the football itself breaks the plane of the goal line, it's a touchdown. But now it is quiet in the Astrodome, as we'll take another look. And the roar of the crowd signifies that Earl Campbell is up. 46 seconds, the time remaining in the first half. And Houston leads for the second time in the ballgame.
You know, there are so many bum-isms, the Bum Phillips sayings, and I think the one that I really like is he said, you know, somebody said that Earl Campbell gets up very slowly, which you saw right there. But he also said yes, but he also goes down very slowly.
That is correct.
All right, take another look. 34 is the man with the ball, Earl Campbell. He's in. Good call by the officials.
74 yards on the touchdown drive in 9 plays. Gifford Nielsen to Hole, and Tony Fritsch will attempt the point after. It is there. It is Houston 10 and Denver 7 with 46 seconds left to go in the first half. Now let's listen to the music.
Houston is the Oilers, the greatest football team. We take the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. We're in the air, we're on the say the Oilers. You're talking Super Bowl, 'cause we're the Houston Oilers. Houston Oilers, Houston Oilers #1. Yes, we're the Houston Oilers. Houston Oilers, Houston Oilers #1.
Well, I'll tell you something, Charlie. These people are something in the Astrodome. You know, of all ages, too. It's not only young people, but they're of all ages. It's really great to see the enthusiasm that they display here in Houston.
Tony Fritsch kicking off with Dave Preston, the deep back. Preston at the 5-yard line. 15, 20. To the 25-yard line. He has 20 yards on the return. Bill Courier makes the tackle. And Mojo, who always comes out and picks up the kicking tee, did a little somersault, and one on the far sideline spikes the kicking tee and will go back to the game.
I think he's been saving that move for the playoffs.
That's a
Charlie.
playoff move,
Yeah,
isn't
he
it?
didn't do that during the regular season.
Denver now from their own 25-yard line. First down and 10 yards to go with 40 seconds left in the first half.
Now the defensive backs for Houston, they are really deep.
Preston sweep right side. He picks up 4 yards to the 29-yard line. Andy Doris is the man who upended him. It'll be second down 6, and Denver calls for a timeout. They will have 2 timeouts remaining in the first half. Houston does not have a timeout remaining.
Well, that's a good idea. You got to try to score in this football game because we've said before it's sudden death. You lose, you're gone. Earl Campbell leaving the premises. Sure what they're going to do is get him up. If there's any taping that needs to be done, they'll take care of that in the locker room. Give him a little additional rest instead of being out on the field.
32 seconds is the official time remaining. The report is a pulled groin muscle. He should return in the second half.
Oh, he will return in the second. He walks that way all the time, though. Can't tell that.
If I got hit as much as he did, I would walk that way too, very slowly. Don't forget, coming up next at halftime, NFL 79. How about New Year's? What a day to spend with us on NBC. The Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all. That will be for the national championship in the Orange Bowl with that great pageantry in Miami. Morton's pass is incomplete. There was no possession by Dave Preston. Wilson and Bingham were there for the defense. It will be 3rd down and 6 at the 29-yard line. 28 seconds. Time remaining first half.
You said New Year's Day.
Yes.
Rose Bowl.
Yes.
Ohio State ranked number 1. Right. Southern Cal ranked number 3.
Yes, the Trojans, one of my many alma maters in my undergraduate days.
Then it's number 4 and number 5 in the Orange Bowl, Oklahoma and Florida State. Great day of football.
That is New Year's Day on NBC. 3rd down and 6. Screen right side to Riley Odom. Wilson was there for the defense. He will lose a yard on the play. It will be 4th down.
And they won't kick it. There's 11 seconds, 10 counting down now. They're not going to kick this football.
And Riley Odoms, who is playing with a cast on that broken arm, that is his first reception of the ball game, but time will run out in the first half. And you can tell by the reaction of the crowd at halftime. It is Houston 10 and Denver 7. We'll be back to the Astrodome in a moment. It is halftime here at the Astrodome, and Lynn, it was a very physical first half.
Well, it sure was. Last week, the Denver Broncos, they got involved in a very physical football game with the San Diego Chargers. A lot of their players came out with injuries, and they're playing today with a great deal of pain. This is a physical football game. Both teams have been noted for being physical football teams all year long. So the second half is not going to be any different than the first. They're going out there, and they're going after one another.
Halftime activities will continue from the Astrodome right after these messages from your local station.
Wildcard game played earlier this afternoon. The Philadelphia Eagles took the measure of the Chicago Bears 27-17 before a capacity crowd at Philadelphia's Veterans Stadium, but not before the Bears took the Eagles to the limit. For Chicago, the story was missed scoring opportunities. A chance to break the game wide open several times. That's what the Bears had. Like right here in the first quarter. Phipps back to pass. All alone is rookie Watts out of Tulsa, but he drops the ball on the 15-yard line. Clearly he had a touchdown. And then later, with the Bears leading 17-10 at the half in the third quarter, Peyton gets loose for 85 yards here. He scoots all the way down the sidelines and scores. However, Chicago's Brian Backschnagel was called for illegal motion. The play was called back. And he goes up top, 40 yards.
The Astrodome, and let's listen to the music. To the music.
We got the offense, we got the defense, we give the other team no hope, 'cause we're the Houston Oilers.
You're going to sing that,
You can tell that it's the playoffs in the Astrodome. The score at halftime is Houston 10 and Denver 7. And when we look forward to the second half of this ball game, the one thing that you might just file away in the back of your mind would be the team in this kind of a ball game, a very physical ball game, a very defensive ball game, and a very close ball game, is the team that makes the fewest mistakes in the second half will be the team that wins.
That is the name of the game, Charlie, and it's been very close in the first half. Both teams have made mistakes. I look back to the penalty that Tom Jackson got for hitting above the shoulder pads. An additional 15 yards has put Houston in pretty good field position and enabled them to get down close, and they eventually got in with Earl Campbell going into the end zone for the touchdown. But you get situations like this, particularly the kicking games. You can't afford penalties and you can't afford mistakes.
Tony Fritsch will start the second half by kicking it off. Let me also mention something to file away in your memory bank. Should we end in a tie, of course, we go into overtime. But now we're in the playoffs, and that means that we will play, if we get to overtime, until there is a winner. Dave Preston is the deep back on the return for the Denver Broncos.
Talking about the noise of the crowd, they've come alive now. The only way that Denver can quiet that noise is to move that football and put points on the scoreboard.
And the second half is underway. 10-yard line, Dave Preston. Preston to the 20, the 25. Preston to the 30. Preston to the 32-yard line. 22 yards on the return. Jeff Groth makes the tackle for the Houston Oilers. The offensive set for the Denver Broncos. Greg Morton is the quarterback. They will open with Otis Armstrong and Jim Jensen as the two running backs. Haven Moses is in as one wide receiver. He comes to the near side. Riley Odoms is in as a tight end. Steve Watson is the other receiver. Play action. Morton's pass is complete. Armstrong out of the backfield is pushed out of bounds by Robert Brazil.
You know, that offensive line, Charlie, looking now that it's good news for the Denver Broncos because both Claudia Minor, number 71, Dave Studdard, number 70, they left the ball game because of injuries in the first half. They are back in, along with 64 Bryant. The guards are Howard and Classic.
Defensively, it's Andy Doris, Curly Culp, and Elvin Bethea, the front three. Ted Washington, Art Stringer, Greg Bingham, and Robert Brazil, the linebackers. Wilson, Stimrick, Perry, and Reinfeldt in the secondary. This may be the first down. Let's see where the momentum carries. Let me have your attention. Earl Campbell has a groin injury and will not play in the second half. The Houston Oilers will have to do it without Earl Campbell.
That means that that defensive unit on the field right now, they better tighten up that chin strap because they're going to have their work cut out for them.
It's a first down at the 43-yard line. Morton play action. He is sacked. Second sack of the ball game for the Oilers. Ted Washington and Andy Doris got him. They'll drop him at the 36-yard line, a loss of 7 yards.
Credit that secondary for fine coverage because play action pass, you see Morton faking to Otis Armstrong. He steps up. That is ordinarily enough time to get the ball off, but the coverage was good in the secondary. He had no one to throw the football to before being down by that man, Ted Washington, number 59, a linebacker, but he does a lot of blitzing for this Houston team. One of the reasons is he weighs about 250 pounds.
Second down, 17. Upchurch is in as a wide receiver. Haven Moses is the other wide receiver. Canada swinging into the left flat. Larry Canada to the 40-yard line. He picks up 4 yards on the play. It'll be third down and still 13 as Greg Bingham makes the stop.
I'll tell you another man involved in that play is number 71, middle nose guard. That's Kennard. You can see him right now. Now he's taking off. He knows that it's not a run. It's a screen pass. A little outlet play out here to the back. Gets involved. He does get an arm on him. Helps in the tackle. Is number 54, Greg Bingham, mops up and makes the stop.
Third down, 13.
Really good pursuit by Kennard.
Morton is swamped. He will be sacked. The third sack for the Houston defense. Andy Doris is the man who got it.
I think you can credit that whole defensive line for Houston because they all four in unison. They just swept back there and they got penetration. There was really no place for Morton to move. He couldn't even step up because the inside defensive linemen, they were getting penetration too. As you can see right now, taking a look at Culp 78, they're coming up. See, everybody is moving toward Morton. All four of them maintaining their lanes. When you do that, you're really going to put pressure on the quarterback.
The kick by Preston, Richard Ellender. Fields it at the 15-yard line. Looks for a block. Has one, reverses his field. He will lose a yard on the return. 12 minutes and 18 seconds. That is the time remaining third quarter. That punt covered 52 yards. We'll be back to the Astrodome in a moment.
It's been ages.
Can I buy it?
Allow me. 2 Michelob Lights.
Michelob makes a light beer? Perfect. The rich, full-bodied taste of Michelob Light. Compare it to any beer you like. You always did go first class.
Your ticket to San Francisco. Thank you.
San Francisco?
You too?
Michelob Light. Compare the taste to any beer you like.
Yeah.
Our
I'd like to talk to you about the Sony Betamax and an incredible feature called
They have a first down from their own 15-yard line. Mike Renfro in as a wide receiver. Burrow is not in. The give is to Tim Wilson. And Wilson will pick up a yard to the 16. It'll be second down and 9. Don Latimer makes the tackle. So let's set up that offense for you. Pastorini's the quarterback with Tim Wilson basically the remaining back. You now have Guido Merkins and Mike Renfro as the wide receivers. Merkins also can work out of the backfield. Rich Castor, Mike Barber is tight end.
Good thing about Castor and what a dimension he adds offensively, because he can not only play the flanker position, but he can play the tight end position.
Second down 9, Renfro in motion. Play action. Pass is complete, 22-yard line to Tim Wilson, and Randy Gradishar makes the tackle. Now the offensive line for the Oilers, Leon Gray, David Carter, Carl Mock, Ed Fisher, and Conway Heyman.
Here he is faking. This is an unusual play. He's faking the ball to the back. Now the back goes down and turns around. He comes right back to him, because generally what happens defensively, when you see the fake draw, you forget about that man. And they did that time. He was wide open, but after he made the catch, 53, Randy Gradishar made the tackle.
Third down and 1, 24-yard line. Oilers in their own territory. We are 4 minutes into the second half. Houston leads by 3, 10-7 over Denver. Carpenter in motion. Ronnie Coleman. Coleman to the 25-yard line. This should be good enough for the first down. They may want to take a measurement to check it out. While they do that, let's look at the defense of the Denver Broncos. They have been going in this last series with a 4-man front of Barney Chavis, John Grant, Don Latimer, and Bryson Manor. Their 3 linebackers, Bob Swinson, Randy Gradishar, and Tom Jackson, with Lewis Wright and Steve Foley on the corners, Bill Thompson and Bernard Jackson at the defensive safety.
I'll tell you that last time Bill Thompson, the strong safety, really made a good play. He got great penetration, and yet the running back Coleman had to jump over him. Just barely made the first down, but it was an excellent play by Bill Thompson, the strong safety. Number 67 going into the ball game. We now understand that that is Reuben Carter, who ordinarily wears the number 68. Maybe somebody tore his jersey off, or somebody confiscated it.
It is a first down, 25-yard line. The Broncos go back to a 3-4 defensive set. Tim Wilson. Wilson close to the 30-yard line. It'll be second down and 5 after a gain of 5. Barney Chavis and Randy Gradishar on the tackle. What does this do mentally to the Houston Oilers, knowing they're going to have to go the second half without Earl Campbell?
Well, I'll tell you what it should do for the offensive line. They know that they're going to really have to block, because they're going to have to do it because Earl's not there to do it on his own. Wilson is a good back. He's a good runner and a good blocker, but he does not have the outside threat that Earl Campbell has.
And now Rob Carpenter is the remaining back on second and 5, and Carpenter carries. He has the first down. Carpenter, 40-yard line. 10 yards on the play, first down. Randy Gradishar with a tackle.
That's what you do. You give the ball to Carpenter, because he is really a good back. Comes in and he does the job, whether it be running with the football or as a pass receiver. He's going to accelerate right now. He makes up his mind where he's going to go. Now he's accelerating. He's moving. Going to get a hold of that ball firmly. Make sure that he doesn't cough up the ball. Number 53, the man responsible to make the stop, Randy Gradishar. He's getting good. Carter makes a good block on him. He spins off of it. Eventually gets involved in a tackle, but it's a first down for Houston.
For Carpenter, his first carry of the ball game. Play action. Pastorini rolls, pump fake, slips and falls. A loss of 11 yards on the play, and Pastorini is hurt.
He is really hurting.
So if Pastorini comes out, this means that the Oilers would have to go without Earl Campbell and without Dan Pastorini. I've noticed a lot of slipping today. I didn't know if it was nervousness in the first half, but we have it here again.
Well, I'll tell you, it could be the synthetic turf, that the shoes that they're wearing that's grabbing on the turf, and it's holding and they fall down.
And officially that will go in the books as a sack. We've got a timeout, 9 minutes and 6 seconds left to go. Third quarter, Houston leads by 3. Here's what happened to Dan Pastorini. Let's take another look and watch. And he did not stumble. It looks to me like it's just it is a muscle pull. Now watch him. He just pulls up and falls. Right there it goes. And he goes down. They're still working on him. We'll have an official report from the sideline on it, but they're still working on him here.
I don't think it had anything to do. You're right with his cleats grabbing on that turf.
No, not at all. He just went down, and then when he reached, like he was grabbing his stomach.
Tell you one thing that he's doing, he's standing upright back here. You know, he's pumping the ball. Now you got to get your knees bent and get. But you can take a look. Yeah, I think it's going to be. You'll see his right there, his left hand.
See the left hand. So what we suspect at this moment is that it's a groin pull.
Well, that's two of them. That's what Earl Campbell, with the injury that he had.
And if you've ever had like a groin pull or a hamstring that just rolls up on you, you just fall. There is no way that you can even move.
No, it's like being shot. You just go right down.
Yeah. All right, tonight it's a holiday special starring your favorite Disney characters on Disney's Wonderful World. And Fred Astaire stars in 7 magical roles, the man in the Santa Claus suit with Gary Berghoff, Bert Convy, and John Biner. Followed by a spotlight on the wild and woolly world of professional wrestling on prime time Sunday night on NBC. Tom Snyder still has not invited us to be guests on his show.
I wonder why.
I don't know.
See, when they were carrying him off, his foot was not even touching the ground, so he must not be able to put any weight on it at all.
He has been replaced by Gifford Nielsen, 6'4", 205 pounds, 25 years of age, from Brigham Young in his second year, the number 3 draft choice a year ago. Second down and 21. On the draw, Rob Carpenter gets the call. To the 33-yard line, a gain of 4 yards on the play. So it will be 3rd down and around 17 to go as Reuben Carter makes the tackle.
Well, I'll tell you, Denver did a good job closing that hole because it looked like there was a hole there, but the quickness of that Denver defense got there in a hurry. They're going to concede a few yards, but they're not going to give them the big play.
Report on Ken Burrow. The Oilers are becoming the walking wounded. He has re-injured for the 2nd time, that tailbone bruise. He may not come back in the ball game. 3rd down, 17. He could play if they need him. They're trying to hold him out. Rob Carpenter. And Carpenter is wrapped up at the 35-yard line, the 36-yard line. They will give them 3. Gradishar with the tackle.
You know how things change in a hurry, because it was Denver that was all banged up. Now it's the Houston Oilers. As you're taking a look at, Nielsen is going back and just pumping the ball out to the sidelines, hoping to pick up a 1st down.
And Rick Upchurch will be returning this kick. And there's Nielsen. He just gets pushed down. Now, Parsley will be kicking to Rick Upchurch. Upchurch has a bad ankle. He has a heel bruise, and he has a bruised Achilles.
And they're also down by 3 points. They need to get back on the board.
Upchurch from the 15-yard line. He will have 8 yards on the return to the 23-yard line. 48 yards on the kick. Ronnie Coleman and Ted Thompson were there for the coverage team. We've got a timeout, 7:10. That is the time remaining. We are in the 3rd quarter.
You can feel us coming now, a fresh look on the scene, with a whole new style of living, light and crisp and clean. That's why now we say the age of 7-Up is here, because we love that crisp, refreshing taste, so light and crystal clear.
Dan Pastorini on the sideline. The report from the sideline, it is a groin injury. They do not know the extent of it. It is very questionable if he can return. Denver, 1st down from their own 23-yard line, trailing by 3. Morton's pass to Dave Preston is complete. He is out of bounds, far sideline, right on the 1st down marker. We'll have to see where the official spotted. Art Stringer was there, and don't forget New Year's Day on NBC to decide the national championship. Ohio State and USC, number 1 and number 3, and then it's the pageantry of the Orange Bowl. Teams ranked 4th and 5th in the nation, Oklahoma and Florida State. So you've got the top numbers on NBC on New Year's Day. It is a 1st down, 33-yard line. Denver in their own territory. 7 minutes, time remaining. 3rd quarter, Riley Odom changes his mind and slips away. Bottom of the screen. Larry Canada. Canada is close to the 1st down. So in this series, Denver is able to move on the Houston defense.
Well, that's right. They're moving that ball on the ground, which Houston does not want to happen. Taking a look at number 35 is Canada, 46. Leading him out. Now he's running with authority right there.
A gain of 11 yards on the play, 44-yard line, back-to-back first down. The second back through is Dave Preston, and this time the Oiler defense answers the call at the 45-yard line. A gain of 1. It is 2nd and 9 as we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
KTAL-TV, Channel 6, Texarkana Shreveport.
This is Charlie Jones, Lynn Dawson. We're in the Astrodome. It's playoff time in the National Football League. We have 6 minutes left to go, third quarter. Houston leading Denver by 3 points, 10-7. But the Oilers will be going in the second half without their quarterback, Dan Pastorini, and without their great running back, Earl Campbell. Morton waits and waits. It is knocked away. Good defensive play by Vernon Perry.
He had all day to throw that football, which is an indication that downfield the receivers are covered because he scanned the whole secondary looking for somebody to throw to. It's good blocking by that offensive line of the Denver Broncos. He's trying to go to Riley Odom's number 88, 32. Perry is there to make the stop or make the knock the ball down. You're taking a look at Robert Brazil, 52, and there's Odom's number 88, playing with a broken bone in his arm. Now, you got to be tough to do that.
Morton, 67% of his passes have been completed. 10 of 15 for 84 yards. Craig to throw again. Far side into coverage. Vernon Perry again for the defense. Almost picked it off.
He was going for Haven Moses. Now, he has not used Haven very much in this ballgame so far. And that pass, I'm sure Perry would say to himself, I should have caught it because it was right in his hand.
So Craig Morton comes out. And Luke Prestridge will be kicking. Richard Ellender sets up for the return at the 10-yard line. Ellender fields it at the 8. Back to the 10. He slips. He's down. 14-yard line. It will give him 6 yards on the return, and Jim Ryan was there following that punt of 47 yards. We'll take a timeout with 5:28 left to go. We're in the third quarter. Houston leads by 3. Bum Phillips, the head coach of the Houston Oilers, and Red Miller, the head coach of the Denver Broncos. 2 outstanding men and neat people.
Well, they're taking a look at Dan Pastorini right now, and that's the major concern. One of the 2, I say, Earl Campbell is not there. He's not going to be playing this afternoon. It doesn't look like that Dan will be back either.
So Houston operates with Gifford Nielsen at quarterback. The give is to Rob Carpenter. Carpenter to the 23-yard line. He picks up 9 yards on the play. It is 2nd and 1, and Randy Gradishar makes the tackle.
Yeah, he not only made the tackle, he almost took his head off because Gradishar. Here it is right now. Big hole. Fine blocking by that offensive line of the Houston Oilers. And there's the hole. That's what you're looking at. But right now, he's being collared by 53 Randy Gradishar. Taking a look at him right now. He's roaming along that lane. He does not want the blockers to get to him. He's quick enough that they didn't. He made a good tackle.
2nd down and 1. Tim Wilson. And he is dropped by Tom Jackson. Does not pick up the first down, may actually lose half a yard. We'll mark it for a yard. It'll be 3rd down and 2.
Tom Jackson does really an excellent job of getting penetration. He's done that several times in the ball game this afternoon. Sometimes he's made the tackle, but even if he doesn't make the tackle, he disrupts things in that backfield and creates problems for the running back.
Tim Wilson, 6 carries in the ball game for 16 yards. The Broncos now go with a 4-man front. 3rd down, actually a yard and a half to go for the first down. Carpenter's in motion. The pitch is to Ronnie Coleman. Coleman has the first down. 27-yard line. He picks up 4 on the play.
Wilson, a good block. The running back with the running mate of Coleman made a good block at the point of attack. Enable him to spring that hole open, breaking through. And here to pitch out, number 45 right there, a block on Thompson. That enabled him, giving him enough room to break through and picking up a good yardage in the first down.
So Houston has the first down at their own 27-yard line. The Oilers lead it by 3, 10-7. 3:35 time remaining in the third quarter at the Astrodome. Rob Carpenter. Carpenter has 2 yards to the 29. It would be 2nd down and 8 for this 24-year-old youngster. Played his collegiate ball at Miami of Ohio. He was a number 3 draft choice in 1977, and the tackle was made by Bryson Manor.
Up Pastor, he's moving a lot better. I said he wouldn't be back, but he's moving a lot better than he was just a couple of minutes ago. About all they can do really is tape that area down there and restrict the movement. But we saw him last year. We didn't think he could even shoot up, get out on the field, and he played an excellent football game against both Miami and New England.
2nd down and 8. Nielsen to throw. Drops it off. Wilson. Wilson to the 35-yard line. Lewis Wright makes the tackle. A pickup of 6 yards on the play. It'll be 3rd down and still 2 yards to go for the 1st down.
You know, you look at the time right now, 2:33 and counting down in this 3rd period. Right now for Houston, you just see Gifford Nielsen just dropping it off to Tim Wilson. He's looking to see if there's any area to run in. There isn't, because he's going to be met by 3 or 4 of the Denver Broncos. What they need to do now is get a couple of 1st and 10s to run out some of that clock, keep that ball away from Denver.
3rd down and 2. Rob Carpenter is dropped for a loss at the 32-yard line by Steve Foley. Now, we've been talking about the injuries to Pastorini and the injuries to Earl Campbell. Well, Steve Foley is playing with back spasms that bothered him throughout the morning. Rick Upchurch, who will be set on this kick return, is bothered by a very bad heel, and Craig Morton, the Denver quarterback, is playing with full stomach muscle.
Riley Odoms is out there with a broken arm. So that shows you how important this football game is to these people on the field on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And that was an excellent play that last time by Steve Foley.
Cliff Parsley will be kicking to Rick Upchurch. 1.5 minutes left to go in the quarter. Boy, they're using all of the 30-second clock. 3 seconds left on the clock at the snap. Upchurch fields it at the 22-yard line to the 30.
Look
35.
Out.
Good return by Rick Upchurch. Carter Hartwig finally got him at the 39-yard line. A return of 17 yards on the play. Next weekend, NBC hosts the AFC's divisional playoffs as the Pittsburgh Steelers, San Diego Chargers, Miami Dolphins, and the winner of today's game take a giant step towards the AFC Championship. That's all next Saturday and Sunday here on NBC.
And you know, the players of all of those teams are watching this with a great deal of interest to see what happens as far as the outcome of this game is concerned.
Denver from their own 39-yard line, trailing in the ball game 10-7. Otis Armstrong. Armstrong, right side, fights his way out to the 47 or the 48-yard line. He may have lost possession of the football there for a moment. He comes up with it as Ted Washington and Alvin Bethea were there to stop him. He goes for a gain of almost 10 yards on the play.
And he had some excellent blocking by that offensive line. Paul Howard, number 60, and also Riley Odoms, 88. They were all out in front of that ball carrier making blocks. And that's the reason that play worked so well, besides the fact that Armstrong did a good job of running with the football.
2nd down and 1, just outside the Denver 48-yard line. 32 seconds left to go in the 3rd quarter. Dave Preston. Preston to the 45-yard line of Houston. A gain of 7 yards on the play. And a 1st down as Art Stringer and Mike Reinfeldt make the tackle.
There are certain times during a ball game when your offensive unit, particularly the offensive line, has to say, hey, we've got to do it. And you're taking a look right now of a great hole provided for 46 Preston to run through. And the reason there's that hole there is because of the blocking. Curly Culp is 78. He took the wrong side. And Ryan did a good job of keeping him away from the ball carrier. That's why you pick up yardage, because the big men up front do the job.
The gun sounds. That is the end of the 3rd quarter. So 3 are in the books. 15 minutes remain. We'll be back. This is Charlie Jones, Lynn Dawson. We start the 4th quarter. Denver has the ball on the Houston 45-yard line. 1st down and 10.
Reverse.
Upchurch is in trouble. Slips the tackle. Back to the line of scrimmage. He will battle for 2, maybe 3 yards on the play. And the Houston defense almost turned it into a big play and a loss of about 10 or 11.
The great speed of Rick Upchurch prevented a loss of some 10 yards on that play, which really would have hurt the chances of the Denver Broncos. He's hurt, I guess, but he surely didn't look like anything was bothering him on that play, because he really accelerated when the man was trying to make the tackle.
Gain of 3, 2nd down and 7 through the first 3 quarters. Denver's total offense 151 yards. Houston's total offense 240 yards. As Armstrong gets a call, there's a flag down on the play. Otis goes to the 31-yard line, but the marker was dropped way back at the 48. That should be holding against the Broncos. Usually you can tell in that situation where the flag is dropped on a running play.
Well, that's a tough break for Denver Broncos, because looking at Otis Armstrong, Charlie really seems to be running well. You know, I know in the last few years perhaps he hasn't run with the authority that he did when he had the great year that he had when he led this team in rushing over 1,000 yards, but right now he's running very well.
Number 71 offense, holding, 10-yard penalty.
Holding on Claude Minor.
And here you are taking a look at this play. Number 71, Claude Minor does have his left hand full of blue jersey.
Full of jersey.
Of the Houston Oilers.
2nd down and 17. Back at the Denver 48-yard line. Oilers lead by 3, 10-7. Play action.
Screen.
Incomplete to Otis Armstrong. The pass was a little off target, but Armstrong also was surrounded by Houston defense.
Good thing he didn't catch it, because had he caught the ball, he'd have been nailed right there. Bingham was right there to make the stop had he made the catch. And there, if he had made the catch, there's a possibility with a hard hit he might have fumbled the football.
The Oilers now have 6 men in the secondary. Looking at 3rd down, 17. There's Dan Pastorini, pulled groin muscle. The report is that he would not be back in the second half. Earl Campbell is out with an injury. He will not be back in the second half. And Craig Morton is playing hurt. 3rd down, 17. 5 on the pattern. Incomplete. Jensen, the intended receiver, went through his hands, and he was dropped immediately.
And he is very slowly getting up off the turf. He really took a hard shot on that. Number 54, Greg Bingham, the linebacker, is a man that made the hit. He's coming up right here. And you can see the position that Bingham is in. That is called a football position. His legs or his feet are about shoulders width, and he was really ready to deliver a blow. And he did.
They're still working on Jim Jensen. Clock is stopped with 14 minutes, 37 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is an official's timeout, not a team timeout. When play resumes, it will be 4th down and 17.
Here it is. Morton going over to Jensen right there. And he got him up around the, I think, around the chin area too, Charlie.
Right on the Adam's apple. That hurts too. Richard Ellender now set to return the punt of Luke Prestridge.
We were talking about a physical football game the first half, and it was going to be a physical football game the second half. It is, because it's all here on the line.
Ellender at the 8-yard line. Ellender to the 15. Out to the 18-yard line. Richard Ellender with 10 yards on the return following that punt of 44 yards. We've got a timeout. Houston leads by 3.
Campbell, he generally wears number 34. Now he's wearing, looks like a sweatsuit or something. He is out of the ball game, will not play the second half.
Houston has a first down from their own 18-yard line. Rob Carpenter gets the call. Bryson Manor is there for the Denver Bronco defense. It'll be a loss of a yard on the play, and it will be 2nd down and 11.
Taking a look at Dan Pastorini. He is walking now, which is a lot better than what happened to him before, but he's walking stiff-legged.
Mike Renfro is wide to the near side. 2 tight ends on the set. Play action. Gifford Nielsen throws into coverage. It is bounced around, and then they will rule the interception. The ball never touched the ground. Big turnover for the Denver Broncos.
51, Bob Swenson at the bottom of the pile coming up. He may have been the man that came up with the interception. Number 51, Bob Swenson.
So the ball was tipped and then bounced around, and he slid underneath it.
Play action pass. He's looking downfield, looking to go to somebody. He knows he has to get rid of it because pressure is coming. The ball was thrown too high. Had that ball been thrown lower, of course, the ball was thrown low. He's throwing it right to Swenson. You see the other. Randy Gradishaw is the man that tipped the ball originally.
At the Houston 26-yard line, first down. Otis Armstrong. Armstrong does not get back to the line of scrimmage as he is turned away by Andy Doris and Elvin Bethea. A loss of a yard, maybe two. It will be second down. 13 minutes, 20 seconds left to go.
Jim Turner, yeah, on the sideline. Jim, of course, we talked about the other people. Jim Turner's got a groin injury. That must be the specialty of the week, that all these players have that type of an injury.
Armstrong, Denver's leading rusher, with 34 yards and 10 carries. Second down and 11. Morton drops it off right side. Pass is complete to Preston, and Dave is out of bounds at the 16-yard line. J.C. Wilson had the coverage, and he could well pick up the first down along the way.
Morton has had to go to his backs because they're putting pressure on him. That defensive front three and sometimes defensive front fours getting a lot of pressure. They're making penetration back, and he's getting rid of the football. Fortunately for the Denver Broncos, he's picking up those backs in the flat. Now that's 8-9 yards on a clip. You'll take that anytime you can get it.
And it is a first down at the 16-yard line with 12:51 remaining. Denver trailing by 3. Jensen, who was clotheslined a moment ago, is the ball carrier, but Ted Washington drops him this time. And did you notice that his old friend Greg Bingham was also there? He will lose yardage. A loss of 3 to the 19.
That was really a good play by 59 Ted Washington. He's going out of the ball game now because they take him out in passing situations, and this is definitely a passing situation for the Denver Broncos. But that was a good play by Ted Washington.
Second down, 13. Haven Moses goes wide to the far side. Rick Upchurch is wide to the near side. 4 on the pattern. Pump fake, he is sacked. That is the 4th sack of the ball game for the Oilers. Curly Culp got it.
Curly got to him and brought him down, but as I'm saying, that front four in that case of the Houston Oilers, they're really getting penetration, putting a lot of heat, a lot of pressure on Morton. You can see right now they're all going. They're all making that penetration back there, and there's nowhere for Morton to go. He cannot step up in the pocket because there is no pocket.
A loss of 9 yards on the play. It will be third down and 22. Now the line of scrimmage is a 28-yard line. They are out of field goal range for Jim Turner.
Morton's got to pick up some yardage here to get back in the field goal range of Jim Turner.
He needs 9 yards. He will be sacked again. That is the 5th sack. Ken Kennard got him. Number 71.
When you have to throw the football, when the defense knows that, the defensive linemen up front, they only have one consideration. That is get to the quarterback. And they can really tee off. They don't have to worry about any run or draws or screens. Go after the quarterback. And that's what happened on the last 2 plays.
Now they will go with their backup kicker, Fred Steinfort. An attempt of 50 yards. Steinfort came to the Denver Broncos only 10 days ago. This is his first field goal attempt. He has the distance. It is no good. It's caroms off of the goalpost.
It hit the crossbar.
Oh, my. From 50 yards away. And that was for the tie. So the Oilers take over at the line of scrimmage, the 33-yard line.
You can see coming up now. Here it is. Hits the crossbar. Unfortunately, it does not kick in. It kicks out.
11:08 left to go. Oilers lead by 3. Came that close to tying up the ball game.
You're going to take a look at it right now. Left-footed kicker. He's got plenty of leg. You take a look. You'll see the reaction. Norris Weiss, number 14, right there, holding his headgear, saying, Can't get a break.
Houston from their own 33-yard line. First down, 11:08 left to go. Gifford Nielsen, the quarterback, hands off to Rob Carpenter. Carpenter to the 37-yard line, a pickup of 4. It'll be second down and 6, and Barney Chavis makes the tackle. Earlier this year, the Houston Oilers won in overtime. Tony Fritz, field goal attempt, same situation, hit the upright, but Karam through.
I believe that was the Cincinnati game in overtime. And of course, when you score in overtime, the game is over. To hit to the upright and skid it in. That time, unfortunately for Denver, it hit it. Didn't make it.
Second down and 6. Rob Carpenter. Carpenter close to the first down. Randy Gradishar makes the tackle at the 43-yard line. Let's go to Mike Adamle for a report.
Okay, we have an injury report from the sideline. Charlie and Lenny. Well, Campbell, Pastorini, and Ken Burrow all have groin pulls. They say that Burrow and Pastorini can play again. The team doctor did. However, Dante says he cannot lift his leg, and it's highly unlikely that he'll come back in the ball game.
All right, thank you, Mike. It was a first down at the 43-yard line. Houston in their own territory. Oilers lead by 3, moving on the 10-minute mark. Time remaining in the ball game. Mike Renfro in motion. Rob Carpenter. 49-yard line. 6 yards on first down. It will be second and 4. Don Latimer makes the tackle.
Houston has been saying all year, we are not a one-man football team, not just Earl Campbell. They're definitely having an opportunity to prove it this afternoon because Campbell is out, Pastorini is out, and their big threat, long ball threat, Kenny Burrow, he is also out.
Second and 4. Tim Wilson comes in. Houston sideline. Carpenter now 9 carries, 39 yards. Second down 4. Tim Wilson. Wilson's in trouble. He just leans into Denver territory to the Denver 49-yard line. He picks up 2 yards. It'll be third down and 2, and we now have 9 minutes and 10 seconds left to go. Barney Chavis, Randy Gradishar for the defense.
Well, here they come. A couple of tight ends in the ball game. Rucker coming into the contest. This is a short yardage situation for the Houston Oilers. It is a very, very big play for both sides because now you are looking at the clock. 8:52 and counting down. A first down for Houston right here would occupy a couple of more minutes on that clock regardless of whether they make a first down or not.
Gifford Nielsen, the quarterback for the Oilers. Ronnie Coleman, the remaining back. Play action, a flag is down. The pass is juggled by Conrad Rucker and dropped. It is incomplete, but there were 2 flags. Bernard Jackson was there for the defense. Now let's go down to Mike Adamle for another report.
Charlie, once again, the prognosis on Earl Campbell's, he's got a mild groin pull. The doctor said he should play. I emphasize should play next week against San Diego. That's how much confidence the Oilers have in Rob Carpenter and Ronnie Coleman.
We were trying to get the call from the referee. Thank you for that report, Mike. Of course, Earl Campbell could play next week, but first they have to get there, or there might not be any next week.
Denver Broncos.
Because here's what's happened. If Houston wins, and next week Houston's at San Diego, Miami at Pittsburgh. If Denver wins, and Miami's at San Diego, and Denver is at Pittsburgh, and the loser, they go home for Christmas. Cliff Parsley will be kicking, and Rick Upchurch is set for the return. It was fourth down and 2. The penalty against Houston was refused. Going for the corner, and it is out of bounds. The official stopped at the 14-yard line. Out of bounds at the 14-yard line. 8:24. Time remaining in the ballgame following that 35-yard punt. Houston holds on by 3.
They make this game the battle of wounded groin. 3 Oilers have left the game with groin injuries. 0-0. Kenny Burrow pulled his groin on this play. Play broken up by Louis Wright. Then the Oilers lost the services of their great running back, number 34, Earl Campbell. Campbell goes into the end zone and scores, but fumbles the ball. He attempts to recover, and in the process, he hurts his groin. He is out with a mild groin pull. To make matters worse, Passerini went back to pass. He tries to get out of the pocket. He slips on the AstroTurf. He too pulls his groin. All three should play next week, should they beat the Denver Broncos this afternoon.
And so those players remaining, we will just continue on with the ball game. Denver, first down for their own 14-yard line. Dave Preston, their leading receiver, 4 receptions for 40. Haven Moses, the intended receiver, it is incomplete. So bring it back to the Denver 14-yard line. It will be second down and 10. Haven Moses has only 1 reception in the ball game. There have been a lot of injuries on both sides. Ironically, Denver came in with injuries before the ball game. The Houston Oilers felt before this ball game they were as healthy as they had been throughout the year, and yet in this game they have lost Ken Burrow, they have lost Dan Pastorini, and Earl Campbell.
You know, that's how things change around, because last week against Philadelphia, head coach Bum Phillips rested many of his ball players, including Earl Campbell, so that they would be healthy for this game.
Second down and 10. Larry Canada, the ball carrier. Canada breaking tackles and fighting his way outside the 25 to the 27-yard line. A pickup of 13 yards on the play. It will be a first down. Mike Reinfeldt makes the tackle, and Canada is 27 yards rushing on 3 carries.
Saw right there the number 71 for the Houston Oilers. Kennard took to the right side, and that center just moved him that way, and that opened the hole originally, but it was fine running by Larry Canada to pick up that 13 yards. And once again, we're talking about injuries. Looking down on the field, a Denver Bronco.
Paul Howard is down.
Paul Howard, the offensive guard, is down.
So we'll take a timeout. 7:59 left to go in the ball game. Oilers lead it 10-7. On the left is Jim Turner. For many years, one of the premier field goal kickers in the National Football League. On the right is Fred Steinfort, whose attempt to tie up the ball game caromed off of the upright. Steinfort shows that he can boot it from 50 yards away, or maybe 55. Denver can go for the tie. They can play the short field. Interception, Greg Bingham. Greg Bingham with the key play of the second half for the Houston Oilers. Glenn Hyde made the tackle, saving the touchdown. The Oilers have the ball deep in Denver territory. 7:53 left.
Greg Bingham against the Miami Dolphins. Many will remember that when he came up with the Bob Greasy interception, sealing the game for the Houston Oilers. This time, he was in the right spot. Now, Morton trying to go inside on a slant pattern, and right there, 54 Bingham reading it all the way, comes up with the interception. This is rather ironic. You see Hyde making a game or a touchdown-saving tackle. It's ironic because Bingham goes out a lot of times when the other team is supposed to pass. Well, I'm sure he's going to be telling them, wait a minute, I do have good hands. I can catch the ball.
At the Denver 20-yard line, first down. That is the first turnover that Denver has committed in the ball game, and Rob Carpenter gets the call. He is turned back by Barney Chavis. It'll be a gain of a yard to the 19-yard line. It'll be second down and 9. Greg Morton.
Greg Morton last week, unfortunately, threw 4 interceptions against the San Diego Chargers. This time that interception really hurts because it puts the Houston Oilers in excellent field position. But on the other side, somebody is smiling about it. Out of Purdue University from Chicago, Illinois, Greg Bingham.
Second down and 9. Carpenter. Carpenter spins his way close to the 10-yard line. Rob Carpenter has become the hero of the second half.
I'll tell you, you know, when you talk about depth, this is what you want. You want a man like Carpenter. Now, he did so much of that on his own. There was a good blocking up front, a good hold, but he did an awful lot on his own, particularly when he got hit. The spinning out of the tackle, picking up valuable yardage. First and 10 right now, 10-yard line. You see number 26 is Carpenter. Now, take a look. There is the hole. He's cutting back. Good blocking up front. Now, he's going to get hit. This is what it means by maintaining your balance and keep on moving.
At the 10-yard line, it is a first down. A report on Paul Howard, offensive guard Broncos. Injured ankle, may not be back. A gain of a yard. Carpenter again gets the call. He goes to the 9-yard line. Reuben Carter makes the tackle, and it will be second down and 9, or second down and goal to go.
Might mention Reuben Carter, we did earlier, but he is ordinarily, his number is 68. And for some reason or other, he's wearing 67 in the ball game this afternoon.
Second down and 9. Just inside the 9-yard line. Greg Bingham, number 54. In his 7th year, taken in the 4th round of the draft in 1973, had picked off the interception. He had 3 interceptions during the regular season. The pitch is to Rob Carpenter, and Carpenter goes to the 6-yard line, where it will be 3rd down.
It's not surprising that they are running to their left. One of the reasons is number 74, Leon Gray, is the offensive left tackle of the Houston Oilers. He is an all-pro. When you get in tight situations, you go with your strength. And on that left side, a very powerful man is that man, number 74, Leon Gray.
It is 3rd down, and in reality, goal to go. They could pick up a 1st down, but it would be about an inch away from the goal line. So it is here and a field goal attempt if they don't score. Carpenter driving to about the 3-yard line. It'll be 4th down, and Tony Fritz will come in to add 3 more as Reuben Carter and Tom Jackson make the stop. 4 minutes, 50 seconds, time remaining in the game, and the clock continues on its inexorable march.
Fortunately for Houston, this man who wears number 16 does not have an injury, because he has really been something this year. 84% of his field goal attempts he has made. 7 for 7 in this area.
And he personally has won 5 ball games during the regular season. Nielsen to hold from the 10-yard line, an attempt of 20 yards. High snap. You can tell by the crowd reaction that it is good.
It is now 8 for 8, and now a 6-point lead for Houston over Denver.
And Tony Fritz is 2 for 2 in this ball game. Houston 13, Denver 7. We'll be back.
When you look at the TC3, you're looking at the engineer.
18 seconds left to go in the ball game. Rick Upchurch is the deep back in the return. The 2 head coaches, Red Miller and Bum Phillips, and Tony Fritz will be kicking off. There's a lot of emotion in this ball game on both sides of the line. And with ball players going down all over the field for the Houston Oilers and for the Denver Broncos, with the bumps and bruises and the full muscles from Denver's side, they're now on offense. Craig Morton is playing with an injury. Rick Upchurch is playing with an injury. Riley Odoms is playing with a broken arm. Steve Foley is playing with a bad back at the Denver Broncos.
You go to the other side, Charlie, and there's Dan Pastorini. He's hurting. A lot of people are hurting, but I think on the other side, the people who are replacing them. Now, this is what is the emotional part about a football team, that it isn't a one-man team, that you have Carpenter coming in and doing an excellent job, Nielsen coming in and doing a good job. Now, this really helps a football team if they come out on the winning side of this football game for the Houston Oilers, knowing that if somebody goes down, you have somebody that can replace them and do the job.
Also, Paul Howard is out. Offensive line replaced by Glenn Hyde. Can the emotion of the Denver Broncos and their Broncomania overcome the emotion here in the Astrodome? So you can color the rest of this ball game with a big E and name it emotion.
There was a mix-up on that play at that time because Morton was looking for somebody to either fake it to, and you can see by the expression on his face that something went wrong. Somebody went the wrong way. It's mistakes
Ken Kennard
like that
and Jesse Baker were there. Morton has completed 11 of 21 for 97 yards. A quick look at the clock, 3:55, and time is counting down on the Denver Broncos. They trail by 6 points, but a touchdown and an extra point could win it for Denver. Second down and 10 from their own 34-yard line. Otis Armstrong. Armstrong around the corner, hits upfield. Armstrong almost breaks it. He is bumped out of bounds at the Denver 49-yard line, a pickup of 15 on the play, and Mike Reinfeldt saved the touchdown.
Do not count anybody out in this football game when you have two outstanding teams like you have in Denver and Houston. Perry misses the tackle. Armstrong with his great speed, another great block downfield before they run him out of bounds. You were right about an emotional game. It's an emotional game on both sides for both teams.
3:35, time remaining. Denver now first down, their own 49-yard line. Morton to throw since 4 on the pattern. Sideline is there and out of bounds. It is Riley Odom, the man who is playing with a broken arm. And that you can see the cast on the left arm. 5 weeks ago, the bones were broken.
I know doctors have told me that it takes at least 6 weeks for any bone to heal. He also played last week, you may recall.
That is his second reception of the ball game. He caught one last week.
Really
14
an
yards against San Diego. Second down and 6. 3.5 minutes left to go. Odoms comes out. Denver has to go for the touchdown. Quick pass is complete. Haven Moses. Moses to the 30-yard line. Inside the 30 to the 28-yard line. Vernon Perry and Mike Reinfeldt stop him there.
Taking a look now, he's looking for Moses all the way, and a good catch. Watch this move by Haven Moses, getting out of a jam. Now that's about the second or third pass that Haven has caught. I know that here it is right here, a little stop. Morton, the timing was great because the ball was there just when he turned his head to locate the football.
Just outside the 28-yard line of Houston, first down. Dave Preston. Preston will get 1, maybe 2 yards, and that is it, as Curly Culp makes the tackle. 2 minutes, 43 seconds left to go. Mark it at the 27-yard line. It is second down and 9.
This is it for both teams right here, getting down near the 2-minute warning. For the Denver Broncos, they need a touchdown. They can't be worrying about any field goals. They've got to get the touchdown and the extra point to win this football game. On the other side, for the Houston Oilers, this is it. Almost at the 25-yard line. They're about, what, the 27 or 28-yard line? Broncos.
Second down and 9. Houston 27-yard line. The crowd on their feet at the Astrodome. Fumble on the snap. Boy, did he get it? Yes, he does. The Broncos retain possession, but it will be third down.
Taking a look, he never gets possession of the football. It could be that the center was moving as he was snapping the ball, which would change the angle of the snap. Morton had to dive in after the football. They also have another man down on the field at the present time. It looked like it's a Houston Oilers football player.
2 minutes and 15 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is an injury timeout, an official's timeout, not charged to either team. Now let's go down to Mike Adamle.
Charlie, in a game played earlier today, in case you haven't heard, the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Chicago Bears 27-17, packed house, Veterans Stadium. First quarter, Jaworski back to pass. Harold Carmichael touchdown on the day, 110 yards. The Eagles led at that point 7-0. Phipps had a chance to tie. Here he's got a lot of time to pass and finds a wide open Ricky Watts, the rookie from Tulsa, but he drops the ball on the 15-yard lines. They can't convert. Phipps brings the Bear right back. Across the middle, Walter Payton, number 34. He scampers 31 yards all the way down to the 4-yard line. One play later, he scores 7-7. Halftime 17-10. Payton gets loose 85 yards. It looks like a touchdown to tie up the game or put him ahead 24-10. It is called back. A legal procedure against Brian Baschnagel. Again, Phipps, another scoring opportunity. This time the ball is picked off by veteran cornerback Bobby Howard. And then finally, the icing on the cake, Jaworski passes to Billy Camfield, number 37. The second-year man out of Kansas goes 63 yards for the score. The Eagles win it 27-17. They play Tampa Bay next week.
Ken Kennard was the injured Oiler. He has come out. Curly Culp has come back in. It will be third down and 8. 2:07 the clock on the countdown. The Broncos will let it go down to the 2-minute mark. And right now, Lynn, it's not necessarily who wins today, but who survives this football game.
Well, that's right. The doctor is going to be the most important man for both of these teams. Find out what's going to happen, who's going to be able to show up at the next game.
2-minute warning. We'll take a timeout. Houston 13, Denver 7. Two minutes to go in this ball game. We want to take an opportunity to thank Ed Gresham and Gene Arnold, our spotters, and Joe Costanza, as always, our statistician. Thank you, gentlemen. Dan Pastorini out of the ball game. He's been replaced by Gifford Nielsen. But right now, you can color this story orange on the next two downs. Third down and 8. The Broncos trail by 6. Armstrong sweep right side. Otis cuts inside. He will come up still 4, maybe 5 yards short of the first down as Greg Bingham and Carter Hartwig made the tackle. Did a flag go down on the far side? It will be holding against the Denver Broncos, the one thing they could not afford to do.
Oh, boy, you mentioned mistakes early in this ball game, I think, in the second half, and how important it is for teams not to make mistakes, and in particular making mistakes at crucial times in the ball game. That was a crucial mistake right there. It was third down. Now they're going to take them back. They're going to accept this penalty, take it back. It'll still be third down. It's going to be a long way to go, though.
It would be 4th down and 5 or 3rd down and 18.
I'd go with the 3rd and 18.
The holding was a yard in front of the line of scrimmage. It'll be 3rd and 17.
Offensive holding, number 65, still 3rd down.
Holding on Glenn Hyde, who's replaced Paul Howard, who is out of the ball game.
Coming up for Denver now. This is a big down. They don't necessarily have to get all the yardage back, but they've got to get some of it.
Greg Morton. Morton, flag is down. Morton is down. That is the 6th sack for the Houston Oilers. Curly Culp got him. 40-yard line, and there was a flag.
Well, if that flag is on Denver, and it looks like that it is, I'm sure that they're going to refuse the penalty, give him one more shot at it with 1:49 remaining in this football game. You could see that defensive front four of the Houston Oilers, they knew that he had to throw the football. That's what that penalty cost them. They knew they were in a definite passing situation, and they just teed off.
Holding against Denver refused.
Here it is. You're taking a look right now as Morton goes down. Curly Culp at the bottom of that pile.
We've got a timeout. It is Houston 13 and Denver 7. 1:49 left in the game. Paul Howard has come back in the ball game at offensive right guard for the Denver Broncos. It is 4th down and 22. 1:49 left in the ball game. The whole season for the Broncos could well rest on this one play.
You're absolutely right. This is the season. This is 1979 for the Denver Broncos. They must pick up a first down.
4-man rush. Morton goes deep. Has a man. Watson knocked away in the end zone. Vernon Perry. And Watson was open for just a couple of steps.
That was the play for the Houston Oilers. There you can see the elation of the defensive backs. 32 is Vernon Perry. Made a good play on the ball. Morton Press was a good throw. Perry was there to knock it down.
And listen to these fans.
Here we are taking a look at Morton going back. He's got to go up top. He's got to go deep, hoping for a completion or an interference call. Kenny had just a step, but there it is, 32. Vernon Perry, rookie from Jackson State, breaking up the play.
So Houston takes over on their own 40-yard line. Denver has 2 more timeouts remaining. Gifford Nielsen hands off to Rob Carpenter, a gain of a couple of yards. Denver will take a timeout. And going to work is Steve Watson, a free agent from Temple with 4.5 speed. And then Perry saves the day for the Houston Oilers. We'll be back.
And
we are back. It is 2nd down and 8. Rob Carpenter. Carpenter dives for just a couple of more yards. It will be 3rd down, and Denver will take another timeout, stopping the clock with 1:30 left to go in the ball game. This gives us an opportunity to thank our executive producer of NBC football throughout the year, Don Omeyer, our coordinating producer, Ted Nathanson. Today's telecast has been produced by George Finkel, directed by Ted Nathanson. Technical director, Bruce Berquist. Associate producer, William Peters. Associate director, Richard Klein.
Charlie, I'm going to tell you what an emotional situation this is for Houston. That man right there on your left, Gifford Nielsen. Now, he really has to be elated because here it is, Pastorini, the #1 quarterback, is knocked out of the ball game. He has come in and done really a fine job for Houston in guiding them in the second half. When you take into consideration, you lose Kenny Burrow, their receiver, who is the big game breaker, and the main man, 34, Earl Campbell. They are out of it, and you have people like Rob Carpenter coming into the ball game and doing such a tremendous job. Really gives them an emotional lift. You can tell by the fans here and the noise that they're making and how they feel that it is such an emotional football game. It isn't just a bunch of big men out there playing a game. There's a lot of emotion involved.
3rd down and 6. Tim Wilson. Wilson does not pick up the first down. It will be 4th down and 3 yards to go. Denver does not have a timeout remaining. Reuben Carter makes the last tackle. But they will have one more opportunity for this man, Craig Morton. Boy, what a ball game he has played, though. Well, they did not think this morning that he might play at all because of the pull muscles in the stomach.
I knew he would when I saw him 2 years ago when he had a leg injury that kept him in the hospital during the week, getting treatment. The day before the game, he showed up and did a masterful job leading Denver to victory.
Marsley will take all of the time on the 30-second clock. They barely get it off. Upchurch is set for the return. He calls for a fair catch. He goes out of bounds. That will stop the clock. There are 39 seconds left in the season for the Denver Broncos. That punt covered some 36 yards. And now, can Denver weave the magic wand just one more time?
They need a touchdown. A field goal is not good enough. That means they've got to go in for the score. They have no timeouts remaining. Houston is going to have 5 or 6 defensive backs in that ball game, playing back and making sure that they're not able to get the big bomb, because what they want to do, they'll let him catch the football, make the tackle, and hope that maybe they can't get off the next play, because they have just 39 seconds remaining.
Denver must go 80 yards in 39 seconds. Morton has completed 13 of 24 passes. Incomplete. It will be 2nd down and 10 back at the 20-yard line, now with 34 seconds on the clock.
He's got to hope now. This is a hope situation. One or two things: that you get a big break and somebody makes a tremendous play, or Houston makes a mistake and commits a defensive error that would stop the clock and give them a first down.
2nd down and 10. Denver's ball, their own 20-yard line. 34 seconds left to go in the game.
Defensive backs of Houston, they are 20 yards deep lining up off the ball.
Pump fake. Morton throws far side. It's caught. Upchurch has it. Upchurch is running in the secondary. Upchurch to the 45-yard line. A Denver player is down. Morton has the hurry-up offense. 25 yards on the play. J.C. Wilson made the tackle. The time continues. The clock continues to move.
Dave Studdard was injured on the play. Finally gets back to the line of scrimmage.
It goes out of bounds. The clock is out of time. Let's make sure. Let's make sure. The officials say that is it. Houston wins 13-7. So Houston will be playing San Diego. Miami will be at Pittsburgh. And now stay tuned for Disney's Wonderful World over most of these stations. On the Pacific Coast and most mountain time zone stations, Disney will be seen at its regular time.